Good evening, everybody. We're on Parashat Pinchus. That's Numbers chapter 25, verse 11. We'll always start with the pasuk before. V'yidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, Pinchus ben Eleazar ben Aaron HaKohen, Heishives chamasi me'al b'nei Yisrael, b'kano et kanati, b'tocham, v'lo kiliti et b'nei Yisrael, b'kinati. Okay, what does that mean? That Pinchus, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron HaKohen, turned back my wrath from upon the children of Israel when he zealously avenged my vengeance among them. So I did not consume the children of Israel in my vengeance. So we're going to deal with the first part of the genealogy. Who is Pinchus? Pinchus ben Eleazar ben Aaron HaKohen, according to the Kli Yakar, he begins by saying, Hakol l'rubuta nakat, that everything was coming to add something. There was coming to include, all those words are coming to include something. Ki af al pi shahaya ben Eleazar, even though he was the son of Eleazar, asher lo kach lo mivenos putiel, meaning his mother, Pinchas' mother, the wife of Eleazar, was from the Benot Putiel, the daughters of Putiel. If you look back in Exodus chapter 6, verse 25, it mentions Eleazar, the son of Aaron, took for himself from the daughters of Putiel as a wife, and she bore to him Pinchus. So that's Pinchas' mother. She's one of the daughters of Putiel. And who's Putiel? Mizera Yisro, Shepitem Agolim Lavoda Zara. So Yisro was a righteous convert, but before he converted, he was a high priest of a foreign religion. So the Kli Yakar brings down that he was from the seed of Yisro, who fattened the calves for Avodah Zarah. That's brought down in Gemara Sota. So what was this all about? So this is a good thing, that he himself, Pinchus, prevented himself from doing these things that his father, his grandfather that is, had done. He was a righteous person, Pinchus was. Nevertheless, Pen Yomor Lo Litzeni Ador, right, he prevented himself from this kind of action, lest people would say, the people who were of that generation that would mock him, what would they say, or what could they say? Bat Yitro mi hitir lavicha, the daughter of Yisro, who permitted her to your father? How was your father permitted to marry a non-Jew? Not only any non-Jew, whose father was worshipping Avodah Zarah. Ve'ech atam mekane et hamidyani. And how are you the one who's going to take vengeance and revenge on the Midianites? Meaning, first of all, your seed, you come from the Midianites, and your own father, grandfather, Yisro, was not such a righteous person his entire life. And when he converted, his daughter had already been born and was a grown woman. So she would also need a conversion. So the mockers of the generation would say to Pinchus, who are you to take vengeance on the Midianites? So first we talked about from his mother's side. What about his father's side? His father's grandfather was Aaron HaKohen. So how can you take a vengeance on this idol worship? So you have some issues here that are going on. Number one, we're talking about sexual impropriety, that Pinchus went ahead and killed Cosby and Zimra. And you know what happened? It's also not just sexual impropriety, it's actually idol worship as well. And we'll talk about that hopefully. So there's the combination of these two sins that his grandparents were known for, both on his mother's side as well on his father's side, because Aaron HaKohen also fattened the calves For what? for idol worship for the golden calf. V'haya ben Aaron HaKohen, right? He was ben Aaron HaKohen. So v'yomru lo, so what would the mockers of the generation say? Avi avicha zeh pitei magalim lavodah zara. Your grandfather, also on your father's side, he fattened calves for idol worship. V'zeh asa egel, and he made the golden calf. Afal pikein lo haya machpid al kvodo. Nevertheless, there was something special about Pinchus. He wasn't so concerned about his own honor. Rashi explains, Shayu hashvatim mavazim oto. Here, we'll turn to that Rashi. Rashi says, because the tribes were humiliating him, saying, did you see the son of Puti, whose mother's father fattened calves for idolatry? Yet he killed a prince of the tribe of Israel. Lefichach bo katuv. That's why the scripture comes and tells us the relationship he has to Aaron. That being true, as the Kli Yakar pointed out, that still even Aaron has a blemish to his name because he was involved in making the golden calf. So he says, could be that was his intent, meaning Rashi's intent. That even though, right, that since through this process of looking at his mother's side, they would shame him, comes the verse and relates to him by saying, Re'eh, see, ki ha'isha chasadu, what a righteous person this person is, this Pinchus. Afapi sha'al yedei shu ben Eleazar ben Aaron hayalehem makom levazuto, even though from the other side also, they could also mock him from the fact that he is from Aaron, and Aaron was involved with making the golden calf. Mekom makom, nevertheless, niknas ba'avi akoyre loya choshesh l'kvodo. Nevertheless, he still carried the burden, so to speak, and he was not concerned for his own honor. He was interested in the honor of God and of Moshe. Can we get to that point where we can look beyond ourselves and we know what's right, and we're not so concerned about our own honor? V'od higi lanu katuv. The verse further tells us by saying, Shahaya Meshiv Chama, that he was the one who turned back God's wrath. The words are, Heshiv et Chamati. He turned back my wrath. So the Kli Yakar quotes the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Shahaya Meshiv Chema ben Meshiv Chema. He was the son of, he turned back the wrath, and he was the son, meaning the progeny thereof, who also turned back the wrath. And we're referring to Aaron, who came with the incense at the time of Korach, and the rebellion of Korach. And there was a plague, and he stopped the plague with the incense. If you go to Numbers chapter 17, verses 12 through 15, you'll see the story there. So Pinchus comes from Aaron as well, and that's what the pasuk says. And he's the one who returned the wrath of God, and he's the son of one who returned the wrath of God. Therefore he clung on, he held on to the actions of his forefathers in his hand. And that's a praiseworthy situation, and that is why he is also called here, also the son of Aaron. In the next paragraph, Bekano es kinasi betocham. So he zealously avenged my vengeance amongst them, or amidst them. So the Kli Yakar points out, Kinati bahem lo nemar. It's not said, my vengeance in them. It's not that he took his vengeance, God's vengeance in them, but he zealously avenged my vengeance amongst them. And what does it mean? Ella betocham. So why is it amongst them? Limed al kol kiddush Hashem shetzarich liyot betoch b'nei yeshod dafka. That any time there is a concept called a sanctification of God's name, it needs to be done within the children of Israel, amongst the children of Israel specifically. Just like if you read in Vayikra, that's Leviticus 22, verse 32, What does it say over there? God says, V'nikdashti b'toch b'nei Israel. I will be sanctified among the children of Israel, from within the children of Israel. L'chak ne'amar, if you look just a little bit further here in our verse, V'yakam mitoch ha'eda. This is what Pinchus in last week's Parashat, the end, verse 7 in the previous chapter. Actually, it's our chapter, but it's previous Parashat. V'yakam mitoch ha'eda. He stood up mitoch, from amongst the people. And what does that teach us? Hodia lanu shivcho shel Pinchas. This informs us of the great praise that we should, Pinchas is awarded. Shahaya moiser nafsho al kiddush Hashem. That he gave his life for the sanctification of God's name. Af al pi shahaya mitoch ha'edah, even though he was amongst the congregation, the assembly, and they weren't all righteous. Some of them wanted to kill him. Remember, he was standing within the tribe of Shimon, which Zimri is from, and his relatives were all around him. And believe me, right? They did not want any harm coming to the prince of their tribe. And yet, Pinchas, even within their midst, he went ahead and he speared them. Mekom sam nafsho b'kapo. Even though his life was in danger, it was a precarious situation for him to do what he did it anyway, even though his life was in his hands. And there's even a hint to this in the verse where it says, Lochach ramach v'yado. Right? What did he take? He took the spear in his hand. He took the sword in his hand. Ramach is a sword. The letters resh, mem, chet, ramach, ki b'masazeh, Sam kol ramach evara b'kapo. It was through this action that he placed all ramach, resh mem chet, 248 limbs in his hand, meaning his life. He placed his life in his hands, and he did it anyway. He sanctified Hashem's name, even at the great cost of perhaps his own demise. That's how much he loved Hashem. He also loved Moses. Moses was his teacher, and there's honor to both his teacher and to Moshe, and we're going to get to that shortly. And he avenged two vengeances. Achas al-Avodah. One of the vengeance was for the sake of idol worship. Va'achas al-Zanut. And the second, or the other one, was on promiscuity. That was the other vengeance. That's why it has a double language. B'kino et kinati, right? Avenged my vengeance. So he says, Ochas likvod Hashem yisvarach. One of them was for the honor of God himself. V'achas likvod Moshe. And the other one was for the sake of the honor of Moses. Kikol mechalel Hashem. Anyone that disgraces and degrades and profanes the name of God, eino cholek kvod l'rabo. He's certainly not he's not distributing any honor to his own rabbi. And how do you know that? That's based on a kal v'chomer, a logical inference. She'im ein hashchina chashuva kenegdo, because if you're one who doesn't consider the divine presence as an important thing, so Rabbi l'kol shekain, so your rabbi who's lower or less than, or not on the same level as, certainly lower than, then so much more so you're not showing him, you're not going to honor him either. V'chein ha'ez panav kenegdo v'amarlo. So too he had so much courage against it, and when they said to him, Bat Yitro mi hitir lecha. So if they're mocking him and saying the daughter of Yisro, who would be a non-Jew, who permitted her to you? I mean, they could be talking about his father, or they could talk about Moshe, because Moshe also married a daughter of Yisro, Zipporah. So either way you look at it, they're either talking about and mocking him, who are you to take vengeance, as we said earlier, or they're mocking his rabbi, that being Moshe. So in Sanhedrin, Gemara Sanhedrin 82a, talking about Moses. So first of all, there's a concept you're not really allowed, I mean there may be certain circumstances, But in general, you're not allowed to paskin, you're not allowed to derive laws, as chidushim, especially in front of your rabbi. The honor goes to him. And what happened was, what do you think? Pinchus knew the halacha. He didn't even ask Moses what to do, because that's part of the deal when we talk about vigilantism here. And the halacha is that he was allowed to kill Zimri. So he went ahead and he did it, which is really poskening a halacha in front of your rabbi, which is Moses. Ki amar sharabo nageh b'davar. But you realize that his own rabbi, meaning Moses, was biased in this. If they're going to say who permits Yisro to you, they're not just talking to Pinchus about his father, they're talking about Moses himself, and Moses is obviously biased. Ben yamru lo bas Yisro mi hitirloch. So therefore he had every right to kill them without even asking Moses the halacha. L'chak ne'amar, l'chein amor, hineni noten lo et briti shalom. So God said to Moses, this is what you should say. L'chein amar. Right? God says, this is what, Moses, this is what you should say. Hineni noten lo et briti shalom. Therefore say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace. When it's hineni, behold, I'm giving to him, who are we talking about? This is what God says Moses should say, as if Moses is saying it for himself. He could have said, L'chein amar lo, thus you shall say to him, without the word hineni. Ela biuro, so what's the explanation? Shekadosh Baruch Hu amar Moshe, that God actually said to Moses, L'chein amar l'chol Yisrael al atzmecha. This is what you should say to all of Israel about yourself, that you, Moses, are using these words. Hineni noten lo. I, Moses, am giving him, to him, Pinchus brisi shalom. Kedei shelo yomer Yisrael, in order that Israel shouldn't respond and say, she'en ata b'shalom in Pinchus, al shahor halacha b'fanecha. That mistakenly, right, that Israel shouldn't say that to Moses, you're not really at peace with Pinchus, you're holding a grudge, because he went ahead and was mara halacha, he paskined halacha, he explained the law in front of you, in front of his Rav. L'chein todia l'rabim v'tomar mitzitcha. Therefore, it was informing the masses that, and you're saying this from yourself, Moses, v'hinei noten lo. I, behold, I'm giving him. Hinei koyal Moshe. The words "behold, I" are coming on Moses himself, and that rests very nicely. U'keneged ma shekinei lelokav. Now, the rest of the verse 13 says, and it shall be to him and his offspring after him a covenant of eternal priesthood, because he took vengeance for his God. These are the words, because he took vengeance for his God, and he atoned for the children of Israel. So this idea that, parallel to the fact that it says that he took vengeance for his God, that's why it says, V'haitolo ulazaro achra bis brit kahunat olam. Right, that it shall be this eternal covenant of priesthood. Where takas ashar kinei lelokav, because he took vengeance for his God. Tam zeh, for this reason, eino koi al ma shenemar. That's not going on what we just said earlier about hinei ton lo, noten lo. I, Moses, am giving him, but this is God giving him. Lefi shezek schara al shakinei l'Moshe, because this was the reward for the vengeance that he took out on behalf of Moses, and that's coming directly from God. Then it says, V'yomar, Yechaper al b'nei Yisrael, right? And he atoned for the children of Israel. Ki hevi es harasha hazel kapara al kol Yisrael. Is it even possible to think that a Rasha can atone for the Jewish people? Yeah. Nechshav lo karbanos parim kvasim. What do we actually consider it? We consider it as if he was a korban, an offering like a cow or a sheep, and that's how it's done. Al kein nishma Hashem. That's why God swore, Ata kohen leolam. You are a kohen forever, just like asher hat chalat b'shimush kahuna, as if that was his first initial action as a high priest, as a priest, to make an offering. And that's only the Kohanim can make offerings, and this evil person was considered as an atonement. Now I want to discuss this idea because I thought about it at length. It's brought down in Kabbalah when we think about people atoning for whole generations, or for their city, or for people in the past, or people in the future. So this idea that righteous people can and do atone, they carry the burden, as we originally mentioned, for other people. But who can do this? And it's a most fascinating concept. It's only a righteous person who's not entirely righteous. Because an entirely righteous person cannot absorb any sin. He never had any sin in his life. He was sinless. He was perfect. And a truly 100% righteous person cannot atone for anyone else. It's only a person that has some sin, and that the question is how much. Apparently this bloke, as we'll call him, Zimri, had a known sin here, and it was pretty big. He probably also had some righteous deeds in his life. Only a person like that can actually atone, meaning someone who's not entirely righteous. And I'm pointing this out because there's a religion in this universe where they claim that an entirely righteous person absorbed the sins for the world. And that goes against all logic, because someone who doesn't have any sin in them is not going to be affected and cannot even relate and carry the burden of others who have sinned. And this is the case by Pinchus, who was acting as the Kohen, as the priest, who offered up a korban of a sinner, and that sinner, as according to the Kli Yakar, according to what the Torah says, V'yechaper al bnei Yisrael, somebody's death atoned for the children of Israel. And that person who died had sin attached to him. And it's only through someone who has some sin attached to him is capable of atoning through his death for future generations or the world in general. Have a good Shabbos, everybody.